extensive video on back extensions. When I say back extensions, really they should probably be called hip extensions, but that would kind of be vague. Just out of tradition, it's called back extensions, but I'm going to explain why I don't like this name. But here I've got a glute ham developer, and here I've got a 45-degree back raise or 45-degree hyper unit. You can do them off either one. With this, your legs are going to be horizontal and your torso will go from vertical to horizontal. And with this, your legs are at a 45-degree angle. What's the difference between the two? I actually published a journal article. It's called "Are All Hip Extension Exercises Created Equal?" I have this linked onto my blog, and I have the full article you can pull up. The torque angle curves are different at the hip. If you don't understand that, read the article. I also filmed a video on it on YouTube called "Are All Hip Extension Exercises Created Equal?" So if you're interested in knowing how these exercises differ, then you can pull that out. But in truth, it's not going to make a big deal whether you do the horizontal version or the 45-degree version. They're both very good. They both activate the hamstrings and glutes really well. I'm going to do most of my demonstrations, actually probably all of my demonstrations off of this today. So starting off with body weight. All right, you want to make sure that the hip, that this pad goes right underneath, like my pelvic bone is like even with this pad here. So this way I can go down all the way. You want it as high as you can go upwards without making you round your low back. So if I come to the bottom, you can see that I'm stretching my hamstrings maximally, and this pad does not interfere. It doesn't make me round. So that's the most important thing, is getting this right. If you have it too far up to where you're like this and there's a big gap, then you don't feel it in the glutes as much. You feel it more in the hamstrings. So you don't want a huge gap here. And then if you have it too low, like right here, then if I come down to the bottom, I have to round. I'm forced to. Now actually, if you are trying to work the erector spinae, then you should have it like this. You should have the pad right up here at the belly button, and then hold on to like a weight and actually round your back and then extend your back. This way you'll be focusing more on the spine of the erectors. But that's not how most people don't do these with the intention of working their erectors. They do these with the intention of working their glutes and hamstrings. So I'm going to show you how to work more glutes and hamstrings. So setting up, if you want to work more glutes, if you look at my feet, on this I can do a wide stance. Not every unit lets you. This is a sumo base that I got from Elite FTS. So I can go wide and flare my feet out. Most of them make you go narrow, but you can still flare your feet out. In one study, flaring the feet out like this showed that it activated I think 20 to 30% more glutes. So flare your feet. I flare my feet out at about a 45-degree angle. Some people flare them out even more. So you're putting the hips in external rotation so the glutes can fire harder. So make sure you flare the feet. Now, I'm going to come down. This is how I teach body weight. There's kind of three ways people do it. The first way, people will kind of go like this, and then they come up, and they come up all the way where they do hip extension and spinal extension. So hip extension is bending through here, spinal extension is bending through the spine, and they'll finish the top like this. I don't like that because the glutes don't work as hard because your back fatigues and the glutes and hamstrings could do more. So I don't recommend doing it that way. The next way is just to stay in neutral. So down here I have a neutral spine, here I have a neutral spine. And this way is perfectly fine to do, and a lot of my clients do it this way. And then the third way is to do them with a rounded upper back and kind of a posterior pelvic tilt at the top of the movement. What this looks like is, and this is the way I teach people who can never feel their glutes working in a back extension, what I do is I have them come to the bottom, and they're like this, and I say, okay, relax your upper back, relax everything. And they have a hard time shutting it down. And I go, and I make them round your upper back, and then they go like this. Okay, round, relax, round. Then they're relaxed, and then I make them actively round their upper back like this. And then I say, imagine there's a pin going through your hips, and you're just swiveling through that pin. You're swiveling, you're making the glutes pull to erect your torso. But then at the top you have a big glute squeeze, and I tell them, imagine pushing your hips into the pad, like you're humping the pad. And when you envision that and then squeeze the glutes really hard, you will actually posterior pelvic tilt. And since posterior pelvic tilt is kind of the same thing as hip extension in the hip socket, so you won't be able to come up quite as high. So what this looks like is like this, round and just go like this. But I keep that rounded position. This is the top right here. I can't go any more with my glutes. My hips won't come up anymore because they're posterior tilted. So all of these different back extensions can be used depending on the goal. But with most of my people, I try to kind of get them in between the last two methods, in between neutral and like a rounded upper back posterior pelvic tilt. So you'll see my clients, they look differently on these. Some of them do them like this. Some of them round and do them like this. I've found that a lot of the more advanced males, they feel the most in their glutes when they round and they just go like this. And it looks like they're not coming up that high. But you have them bust out like 20 reps like that and their glutes are screaming. Now, one thing I've been examining is the effects of load. Now, I'm really strong at these. I can do like 100 pounds and a band. I've done 150 pounds for 15 reps before, which I'll explain in a minute. But I can get an amazing glute workout just from body weight. So lately I do 3 sets of 20 with just body weight, with about 40 seconds of rest in between set, and I get this huge glute pump. So your glutes don't know what load you're using. All they respond to is how hard they're working. You can make them work really hard with just body weight if you focus and use good form. One problem some people have when their legs are straightened out like this is the back of their knee hurts. When this happens, I will actually adjust this pad to come up more and make them have a little bit of knee bend when they do it like this. So their leg will be bent. Obviously the pad would have to be up higher, and then that takes the knee pain out of it. But most people can do it with straight legs just fine. Okay, so I will do 3 sets of 20, just like this. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get to 20. Glutes are burning, hamstrings are burning. Rest 40 seconds, do it 3 more times. Sometimes I can do 3 sets of 25, and once I did 3 sets of 30 with 40 seconds rest. But that's a great way to burn the glutes. My lighter female clients can do like 3 sets of 30-ish, and they feel their glutes a ton. I've also done a set of 100, but I got really sore on the hamstrings the next day. I don't like being really sore. But you can work your way up to where you're doing a ton of these. But just make sure you focus the tension on the glutes and hamstrings and don't feel it so much in the back. Now, there's different ways to utilize resistance here. The first way that I utilize resistance, well, before I go resistance, you can also just put your hands in the prisoner position like this. This makes it harder. And I would say that raising your arms up like this in the prisoner position is probably equal to holding on to like 20 to 30 pounds right here, because this is way up high along the lever length. So prisoner, and then you do single leg like this, take one leg out. Okay, you can start off just like this, but if you do prisoner, this is actually a very hard exercise to do one leg at a time. Do it with your weaker leg first, repeat with the stronger leg. Okay. Now, holding on to weight. Here I've got 20 pounds. What people try to do when they hold on to weight is they will start out here and then they get it closer and closer to the hips. If you have it directly under the hips, it's not adding any resistance. So the higher you hold it up, the more torque is going to require out of the hips. So what I do when I have people use lighter dumbbells is I make them position it under the chin, just like this. Then once the load gets heavier, I have them hold it like this. Now, I don't want their elbows hitting here, because then they can't go down as deep. So I say elbows out, and they can go deep, come up. Always make sure that you go down all the way and get a big stretch. Also, when you're coming down, with a chain. Just wrap it around your neck and then I hold it like right here. This is good because, again, it's high up along the neck, so it's a long lever. I've done like 5 chains before. I think they're like 11 pounds each, so like 55 pounds. And that gives me a pretty good workout because it's long up the lever. But when I use dumbbells, I can use 100 pounds easy, and I can get 30 reps this way. So most of my stronger guys can do the 100-pounders, and most of my stronger women can do like 70-pounders, 70s and 80s, but they have a hard time holding it. Eventually they reach a point where their hip extensors could do more, but their arms fatigue. But the heavy dumbbell looks like this. Hold it close, try and get it close to the chin and not down here, and then just like that. And now I'm going to show you band. So you can only do bands when you have a special unit. This Elite FTS has band pegs. I think Sorinex makes them with band pegs as well. When I teach women the bands, I just use, so I loop these around like this, but I'll just use one of these, just like this, and then it gets stretched. And this is very hard. It's very hard for women to do the bands. Actually, I teach men this way as well. But eventually, once the men get strong enough, I use both bands at the same time. And actually, what I'll do is I'll put a towel at the back of their neck because it kind of can aggravate the neck. In fact, I'll show that. Get it down here. So what I do here is I go like this. And I will wrap this in a towel just like this. And then I will come over like this, hold it here. Now this is pretty tough. What I found with the bands is that even if you're trying to take the erectors out of it and use mostly glutes and hamstrings, you do feel it in your erectors a lot. So if you're trying to use the erectors and really work them, these bands are awesome. There's almost no way to do them without feeling them a lot in the spinal erectors, which is good. You need a strong back. But you can also do bands and dumbbells at the same time. And this is for like very advanced people. So the most advanced people, you can, combine bands and dumbbell. So it's like this. Like that. Okay. Again, if I'm trying to work the glutes, and I already did heavy squats, or heavy deadlifts, or heavy hip thrusts, I already got that heavy stimulus out of the way. Now I move on to the back extension. I want to get the high reps in. I want to get metabolic stress. So most of the time I do this with just body weight. Again, 3 sets of 20 to 30 reps with 40 seconds rest in between sets. But then sometimes I do them heavy and I want to work more glutes and hamstrings. And then I'll do them with dumbbells or with bands or with band and dumbbell. So again, there's different ways to do this depending on your goal. You can load them up a lot of different ways. You can do 1 leg, 2 leg, hands in the prisoner position, hands folded in the mummy position, chain, band, dumbbell under the chin, dumbbell like this, and then combinations thereof. But it's very important that you learn how stretch mark, like stretching up here to show that the glutes are contracting. Right here when I watch people, if they have like tighter, like yoga pants on for my women, or like males have like say tighter fitting shorts, you can see right here these lines up here to show that the glutes are contracting. But you want a strong glute contractor at the very top. And once you get good at it, you can just, it's like you're feeling the glutes just squeezing together, raising your torso. So, horizontal back extensions, 45 degree, tons of different variations, but try the 3 sets for high reps method for glutes with low rest time. I really think you'll like it. It's great for metabolic stress. This is a staple in my gym. All my clients are doing it. And my better female clients, they like this. They feel their glutes burning with this just as much as they do with the band hip thrust. So give it a try, see if you like it.